presented by Soundlibra.com. Explore more titles via the link in the description or at Soundlibra.com. Welcome to the Character Builder. Before we jump into today's topic, just a quick heads up that while we're discussing personal growth, this isn't a replacement for professional mental health advice. So always consult with a professional for your specific needs.
And I'm Lisa. We're so excited to embark on this journey with you to understand what makes someone truly admirable.
Exactly, Lisa. Over the next 12 episodes, we're going to dig deep into the very essence of character. We'll move past fleeting impressions and superficial charm to explore the enduring qualities that make a person stand out, not just for a moment, but for a lifetime.
So, Alex, when we talk about character, what are we really talking about? It sounds like a big, potentially abstract word.
That's a great question, Lisa. Think of character not as something you're born with like eye color, but as something you actively build like a magnificent garden. It's the sum of your virtues, your moral compass, your ingrained habits, the inner qualities that guide your actions and shape who you are when no one is looking. It's what people rely on, what they trust.
A garden, I like that analogy. So, it needs tending. It's not just something that sprouts up on its own.
Precisely. And like a garden, character has many different plants or virtues that need nurturing. We'll explore these virtues one by one, understanding how they grow and flourish, and how they contribute to a person's overall strength and admirability. But today, we're laying the groundwork. We're defining character itself as the foundation upon which all these virtues are built.
So, character is the soil, and virtues are the flowers and fruits?
You've got it. And the best way to understand this foundation is to think about what makes someone admirable. What qualities do we tend to look up to in others? Is it just being charismatic or successful?
I don't think so. We admire people who are consistent, who do the right thing even when it's hard, people who are dependable. It's a deeper sense than just liking someone's personality.
Exactly. That consistency, that internal drive to do right, that's character at play. It's about your core principles and how consistently you live by them. It's the difference between someone who acts good when it's convenient and someone who is good as a matter of course.
So, character isn't just a list of good deeds, but the underlying disposition that leads to those good deeds.
Brilliantly put, Lisa. It's the inner architecture of a person. And this inner architecture is what makes someone admirable in the truest sense. It's what allows us to trust them, to admire their resilience, to be inspired by their actions. It's the substance beneath the surface.
And this isn't something you can fake for long, is it? People tend to see through it eventually.
Inevitably, true character shines through consistently, over time, across different situations. It's the quiet strength when things are tough, the integrity when faced with temptation, the kindness when given the opportunity to be selfish. It's about who you are when the spotlight is off.
So, to be admirable, we need to cultivate this inner substance. And you said this takes intentional effort, like tending a garden. Can you give us a sense of what that effort looks like?
Absolutely. Tending your character garden involves conscious choices. It means self-awareness, understanding your own tendencies and where you might need to improve. It means reflection, taking time to think about your actions and their motivations. And most importantly, it means practice. Just like you practice a musical instrument or a sport to get better, you practice virtues to build strong character.
Practice. That makes sense. So, if I want to be more patient, I need to actively practice patience, perhaps in small, everyday frustrations, rather than just hoping I'll become patient.
Exactly. You don't become a marathon runner by just thinking about running a marathon. You train, you run, you build up your stamina. Similarly, you build character by actively choosing and practicing the virtues that define it. We're not talking about perfection, but about consistent, intentional effort.
I think it's important to emphasize that it's a process. It's not about waking up one day and suddenly having perfect character.
No, not at all. It's a lifelong endeavor. There will be setbacks, moments where our character falters. But the admirable person is the one who learns from those moments and recommits to their practice. The garden might have weeds, but the gardener doesn't give up. They pull the weeds and nurture the good plants.
So, in essence, character is the developed disposition that drives our moral choices and actions, and it's built through consistent practice and self-awareness. And this, you say, is the foundation of admirability.
That's the core idea. And as we move forward in this series, we'll be diving into specific virtues that strengthen this foundation. Today, we've introduced the concept of character as our central theme. We've framed it as a cultivated garden, requiring intentional effort. We've distinguished it from superficial traits and emphasized its role as the bedrock of admirability.
And we've underscored that character is built, not innate, through consistent practice.
Exactly. These are the ideas we'll be building upon. Now, next time, we're going to kick off our exploration of individual virtues by tackling one of the most fundamental, integrity. What does it truly mean to have integrity, and how do we cultivate this bedrock quality in our own lives?
That sounds like a crucial starting point. We can't wait to explore that with you.
So join us next time on the Character Builder for Episode 2, The Bedrock, Cultivating Unwavering Integrity. Next episode, Episode 2, The Bedrock, Cultivating Unwavering Integrity. Welcome back to the Character Builder. Last time, we explored the very essence of character. Now, let's focus on the bedrock of unwavering integrity.
Integrity. It's a strong concept. What does it mean in our everyday lives?
Think of integrity as the foundation of a house. If it's shaky, the whole structure is unstable. Integrity is the unmoving base for our character. At its core, it means having strong moral principles and acting in accordance with them. It's about being whole, undivided, and true to your values.
So, it's more than just being honest?
Exactly. Honesty is a huge part, but integrity goes deeper. It's the consistency between your beliefs, your words, and your actions. When you have integrity, you do the right thing even when no one is watching. Your inner compass and outer behavior are aligned.
Being the same person regardless of the situation. That earns deep respect.
Precisely. That predictability and goodness is a hallmark of integrity. It's about being someone others can rely on because they know you'll act ethically and consistently. This involves honesty, ethical conduct, and consistency between your actions and stated values.
Let's break down honesty further. Beyond not lying, what are we missing?
Dishonesty can creep in through exaggeration, omission, or half-truths. Have you ever slightly bent the truth to avoid a difficult conversation? That's a slippery slope. True honesty means being transparent and forthright, even when uncomfortable.
I see. We often feel pressure to present ourselves in a certain light. How do we navigate ethical conduct, especially with difficult choices?
Ethical conduct is about having a moral compass guiding your decisions. It's asking, is this the right thing to do for everyone involved? It means refusing to compromise your values for personal gain or to avoid consequences. It's choosing the harder, morally right path.
And consistency is the glue holding it all together?
It is. Consistency is where integrity truly shines. It's the alignment of your words and actions over time. If you say you value teamwork, but then take credit for group achievements, your actions don't match your words. People with integrity are reliably principled everywhere.
This sounds ideal, but what are common challenges to upholding integrity?
The challenges test our resolve. Fear is a big one. Fear of not fitting in, of rejection, or negative consequences. A young person might be pressured to do wrong, and saying no requires courage and self-knowledge stemming from integrity.
Being the only one to refuse something unethical in a group is tough.
Indeed, temptation of personal gain is another. We might see an opportunity to get ahead by cutting corners or being deceitful. Think of someone who could falsify reports for profit. Their integrity is tested by profit versus the principle of honest dealing.
And sometimes the lines blur. What one person sees as a minor rule bend, another sees as a major breach.
That's astute. This is where self-reflection and knowing your core values become critical. Define what integrity means to you and set clear boundaries. We all make mistakes. The key is to acknowledge it, learn from it, and recommit to acting with integrity. It's about moral resilience.
So, not perfection, but consistent striving and getting back up after stumbling. This impacts other virtues, right? Does integrity make it easier to be trustworthy?
Absolutely. Integrity is the cornerstone of trust. If people know you're honest, ethical, and consistent, they will trust you implicitly. Their trust is essential in all relationships. Without integrity, trust and genuine connection crumbles.
It's a domino effect then. Integrity builds trust, which enables positive interactions.
Precisely. This bedrock of integrity provides stability. When the storms of life hit, our integrity keeps us grounded. We maintain our moral compass and act in alignment with who we are at our core. This allows other virtues to flourish.
For anyone wanting to cultivate integrity, what's a practical first step?
Conduct an integrity audit of your life. Reflect on your daily actions and decisions. Are they aligned with your values? Look for small inconsistencies, like overpromising at work or telling white lies. Identify these areas and commit to small, consistent changes. Start by being scrupulously honest in your communication and ensuring your actions match intentions.
That's actionable. It's about mindful daily choices and self-awareness, not massive transformation. Integrity is the bedrock.
It is. By consciously cultivating integrity, we lay the groundwork for strong character and build deeper trust and more meaningful relationships. It's a rewarding journey.
Thank you, Alex. I have a much clearer understanding of unwavering integrity now. It's a way of being.
Indeed, it is. And next time, we'll build on this strong foundation as we explore genuine courage. Next episode, Facing the Storm, Building Genuine Courage. Welcome back to the Character Builder. Today, we tackle genuine courage.
Genuine courage. That sounds like a big one, Alex. What does it truly mean to be courageous? Is it just about not being afraid?
That's the common misconception, Lisa. Many people equate courage with a complete absence of fear. But true courage isn't about not feeling fear at all. It's about feeling fear and acting anyway. It's about moving forward despite the potential for harm, for pain, or for consequences.
So, it's about facing fear. But what differentiates true courage from, say, recklessness or bravado? Someone might do something dangerous just to show off, and we wouldn't necessarily call that admirable courage, would we?
Absolutely not. Bravado is often driven by ego, by a need for recognition, or by a desire to impress others. It's a performance. True courage, on the other hand, is rooted in conviction. It's about purpose. Often, it's about standing up for what you believe is right, even when it's difficult, even when you're afraid.
And you mentioned that integrity, which we discussed last time, often underpins genuine courage. How does that connection work?
Think about it. If you have a strong sense of integrity, you know what your values are. You know what you stand for. When a situation arises where you need to defend those values or speak out against something wrong, that strong inner compass, your integrity gives you the conviction to act. It's your integrity that tells you, This is important. This is the right thing to do, regardless of the personal cost. Without integrity, what are you standing for when you're feeling that fear?
That makes a lot of sense. So, integrity provides the why, and courage allows you to act on that why, even when it's hard.
Precisely. Let's consider different facets of courage. There's the courage to face physical danger, certainly, but there's also the courage to speak your truth, even when your voice shakes. There's the courage to admit when you've made a mistake, which is incredibly difficult for many people.
Oh, the courage to admit a mistake. That's a tough one. It feels like admitting a failure, and no one likes to feel like they've failed.
It does. But think about the long-term impact. Someone who can say, I was wrong, and take responsibility builds trust and earns respect. They demonstrate wisdom and a commitment to growth, which are far more admirable qualities than clinging to pride and pretending everything is perfect. This is the courage to be vulnerable.
So, when we talk about building genuine courage, we're not just talking about facing external threats. It's also about facing our internal landscape, our fears, our pride, our insecurities.
Exactly. And like any other virtue, courage can be cultivated. It's not something you are born with or without. It's developed through practice. How do you get better at something that scares you? You face it incrementally. You start with smaller challenges.
So, if someone is afraid of public speaking, they might start by speaking up more in small meetings, then volunteer for a brief presentation, gradually building up to larger audiences.
That's a perfect example. That gradual exposure, that willingness to feel uncomfortable and push through it, builds that internal muscle of courage. It's about taking calculated risks. It's not about being fearless, but about developing a tolerance for fear and learning to manage it effectively. Imagine courage as a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. If you always shrink away from difficulty, that courage muscle atrophies.
And the more we use it, the less powerful that fear becomes, right? It starts to feel more manageable.
That's the goal. When you consistently choose to act in alignment with your values, even when it's daunting, you begin to build confidence. You realize that you can handle difficult situations. This isn't about delusion, it's about resilience. You learn that even if things don't go perfectly, you can learn from it, you can adapt, and you can move forward. This resilience is a key component of courage.
So, to summarize, true courage isn't about being fearless, but about acting despite fear. It's rooted in strong internal convictions, often stemming from integrity, and it's distinct from recklessness or bravado. We build courage by facing our fears, starting small, and consistently choosing to act in alignment with our values, thereby building resilience and confidence.
Beautifully put, Lisa. It's about having the inner strength to face whatever life throws at you, whether it's an external challenge or an internal one. It's the courage to be authentic, to be vulnerable, and to stand up for what's right. And as we've seen, integrity is often the fuel for that fire of courage.
It really highlights how interconnected these virtues are. You can't truly have courage without some underlying principle to stand for, and integrity without courage is just a passive belief.
Precisely. Now, the courage we've discussed today is about facing storms, about standing firm. But the next virtue we'll explore requires a different, perhaps more subtle, kind of inner strength, one that allows us to weather those storms with grace. It's about the quiet power of endurance and the ability to keep going when things are tough.
Intriguing. So, we've faced the storm with courage. I'm eager to hear about this quiet strength.
Next episode, we'll be exploring the quiet strength of mastering patience. Thanks for listening. Welcome back to the Character Builder. Today, we're focusing on patience, a quiet strength in a fast-paced world.
Patience. It feels like a challenging virtue to cultivate when everything around us moves so quickly.
Patience is the ability to remain calm and composed when things take time or don't go our way. It's not passive waiting, but an active inner strength that allows us to endure delays without becoming upset. Think of preparing a complex meal. Some things, like a slow-simmered stew, need time to develop their full flavor.
So, it's about trusting the process and allowing things to unfold naturally, just like our personal growth or long-term goals.
Exactly. In relationships, patience is key. It helps us listen better, understand different perspectives, and respond with empathy rather than annoyance. It creates a safe space for others to learn and grow, much like a parent patiently teaches a child.
And for personal growth, is patience really that important when we're striving for improvement?
Yes, because mastery takes time. You don't become an expert overnight. Patience helps us navigate periods of slow progress or plateaus without giving up. It's the understanding that consistent effort over time leads to significant results. It allows us to embrace the journey.
This connects directly to resilience, doesn't it? If we're patient, we're less likely to be overwhelmed by disappointment or frustration when setbacks occur.
Precisely. Patience helps us see setbacks as temporary hurdles rather than catastrophic failures, enabling us to bounce back more effectively. Impatience often fuels negative emotions like anger and anxiety, while patience promotes calm and clarity. It's about controlling our internal response, even when external events are chaotic.
So, how can we actively cultivate this quiet strength?
Mindfulness is a great starting point. By paying attention to your reactions, you can identify when impatience is surfacing. When you feel that frustration, pause, take a breath, and remind yourself that rushing won't help.
Noticing our impatience is the first step to managing it. What else can we do?
Break down large tasks into smaller, manageable steps. This makes the overall goal less daunting and reduces the temptation to rush. Each small win builds momentum and reinforces patience. Much like watering a plant daily leads to a mature tree over time.
That's a good reminder that progress is often incremental.
It is. Managing our expectations is also crucial. Setting realistic timelines and accepting that life has unexpected delays helps temper our impatience. Imagine building something delicate. You carefully place each piece, ensuring alignment, rather than rushing the assembly.
It seems like actively choosing a different mindset is key. Instead of focusing on how long something is taking, we can reframe waiting periods as opportunities.
Exactly. We can use that time to reflect, plan, practice another skill, or simply be present. This reframing transforms frustration into mindful engagement. This quiet strength allows for a deeper, more considered approach to life, fostering resilience and appreciation for the process.
So, to quickly recap, patience is an active inner strength, not passive waiting. It's vital for relationships, personal growth, and resilience. We can cultivate it through mindfulness, breaking down tasks, managing expectations, and reframing waiting periods as opportunities for growth and reflection.
You've got it. Patience allows us to move through life with greater peace and effectiveness, building character with every moment we choose to wait and breathe.
It's a virtue I'll definitely be focusing on cultivating. The quiet strength is incredibly powerful.
Absolutely. Next episode, we'll explore another vital aspect of character, heartfelt kindness. Thanks for listening. Welcome back to the Character Builder. Last time, we explored the quiet strength of patience, understanding how it helps us navigate challenges with grace. Today, we're diving into something equally vital, yet perhaps even more outwardly expressed, practicing heartfelt kindness.
Kindness. It sounds so simple, doesn't it? Yet I think for many of us, truly understanding and actively practicing it can be more complex than it appears. What does heartfelt kindness really mean, Alex?
That's a great place to start, Lisa. Heartfelt kindness isn't just about being polite or avoiding conflict. It's about a genuine, active desire for the well-being of others. It stems from empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. Think of it as the heart's language, spoken through actions that uplift, support, and show care. It's the opposite of indifference. It's a conscious choice to make a positive difference. When we talk about kindness, we can break it down into a few essential components. First, there's the intention. Is your wish for good genuine, or are you doing something to be seen or to gain something? True kindness comes from a pure motive. Second, there's the action. Kindness needs to be expressed. It could be a small gesture, like holding a door or offering a smile, or it could be a more significant act of support. And third, there's the impact. How does your act of kindness affect the recipient? Does it bring comfort, relief, or a sense of being seen and valued?
So, it's that internal desire that fuels the external action, and the outcome is what truly defines it as kind? I like that framework. You mentioned empathy earlier. How closely are kindness and empathy linked?
They are incredibly intertwined, like two sides of the same coin. Empathy is the foundation upon which genuine kindness is built. Without empathy, our actions might be perceived as kind on the surface, but they might lack that depth, that heartfelt quality. When you truly understand what someone else is going through, when you can step into their shoes, your desire to help them, to alleviate their suffering, or to share in their joy becomes much more potent. This deeper understanding makes our acts of kindness more effective and more meaningful. Think about it this way. If someone is struggling with a heavy load, empathy helps you recognize their strain and understand the difficulty they're facing. Kindness is then the action you take, perhaps by offering to help carry the load, or by simply offering words of encouragement and support. Without empathy, you might just walk by or offer a generic hope you feel better without truly connecting.
That makes perfect sense. It's that connection that elevates a simple act to something truly heartfelt. You also mentioned that practicing kindness enriches our own lives. That might surprise some people who see kindness as purely selfless, a gift given without expectation of return. How does kindness benefit the giver?
It's a beautiful paradox, isn't it? The more you give kindness, the more you receive. From a psychological perspective, acts of kindness have been shown to boost happiness and reduce stress. When you perform a kind act, your brain releases feel-good chemicals like endorphins and oxytocin. This creates a positive feedback loop, making you feel better about yourself and the world around you. Furthermore, practicing kindness strengthens our social connections. When we are kind to others, we build trust and rapport. This can lead to more supportive relationships, a greater sense of belonging, and a more positive social environment. It also cultivates a more optimistic outlook. By focusing on making others feel good, we naturally shift our own perspective away from negativity and toward positivity. Remember how we discussed patience last time? Kindness and patience often go hand in hand. Patience allows us to give someone the time and space they need, while kindness ensures we do so with a supportive and understanding attitude.
It sounds like a virtuous cycle. You perform a kind act, you feel good, you build stronger relationships, feel more connected, and are then more inclined to perform further acts of kindness. It's like cultivating a garden. The more you tend to it with care, the more beautiful and bountiful it becomes.
That's a wonderful analogy, Lisa. And just like tending a garden, practicing kindness requires conscious effort and intentionality, especially when we're first building this virtue. It's not always easy. Sometimes we encounter people who are difficult or ungrateful, and it's tempting to withdraw our kindness. This is where the heartfelt part becomes crucial. Genuine kindness isn't conditional.
So, how can we, as listeners, actively cultivate this heartfelt kindness in our daily lives? Where do we start?
The starting point is simply awareness. Begin by noticing opportunities for kindness. They are everywhere, in the biggest and smallest moments. It could be as simple as 1. Offering a genuine compliment, noticing something positive about someone and expressing it. 2. Listening attentively, truly hearing what someone is saying without interrupting or formulating your own response. 3. Showing patience. As we discussed, giving someone grace when they make a mistake or are having a difficult time. 4. Offering practical help, assisting someone with a chore, an errand, or a task they're finding challenging. 5. Expressing gratitude. A simple thank you can go a long way in making someone feel appreciated. These are just a few examples, and the key is to approach them with that genuine intention we spoke about. Don't just go through the motions. Feel the desire to brighten someone's day or ease their burden.
I like these practical tips. They feel manageable. It's not about grand, sweeping gestures, but consistent, smaller actions. It reminds me of how we've built on other virtues. Integrity was about our core principles, courage about facing fears, patience about enduring. Kindness feels like the outward expression of all of those, a way we interact with the world based on those developed inner qualities.
Exactly. Kindness is a connector. It builds bridges between people. When you act with integrity, you build trust. When you act with courage, you inspire others. When you act with patience, you foster understanding. But kindness is the glue that holds these interactions together, making them positive and strengthening relationships. It's the active demonstration of our other virtues in action. It's how we show others that the inner character we're building translates into tangible, positive impact on the world around us. So, to recap what we've covered, heartfelt kindness is more than just politeness. It's a genuine, active desire for the well-being of others, fueled by empathy. It involves clear intention, expressed action, and a positive impact. Practicing kindness not only benefits others by fostering stronger connections and a more positive environment, but it also significantly enriches our own lives through increased happiness and reduced stress. We can cultivate kindness by being aware of opportunities, offering compliments, listening attentively, showing patience, offering practical help, and expressing gratitude, all with a sincere intention.
It's clear that kindness is not just a passive trait, but an active practice that requires us to be present and engaged with the world and the people in it. It truly is the heart's language.
Indeed, it is. And it's a language we can all learn to speak fluently. Next episode, we'll delve into the gift of perspective and explore the virtue of embracing humility. Welcome back to the Character Builder. Last time, we delved into heartfelt kindness. Today, we're tackling a virtue often misunderstood: humility.
Humility. Some people picture someone with low self-esteem when they hear that word. But that's not quite right, is it?
Exactly, Lisa. True humility isn't about thinking less of yourself. It's about thinking about yourself less. It's having an accurate, balanced perspective. It's not arrogance or self-deprecation, but simply seeing yourself clearly, recognizing your strengths and weaknesses without exaggeration.
So it's like having clear eyesight for your own character. You see what's really there.
Precisely. Humility allows us to acknowledge we don't have all the answers and can learn from others. It's foundational because it opens the door for other virtues. How can you practice integrity if you're too proud to admit you made a mistake?
That makes sense. If you think you're always right, you'll never be honest about your missteps. And it connects to courage too, right?
Absolutely. It takes courage to be humble. It takes courage to admit you don't know something, to ask for help, or to be vulnerable. Often, the most courageous act is being honest about our limitations. If you're tackling a difficult problem and think you know everything, you'll never seek the expertise that could help you succeed. Humility grants you the openness to seek that help.
It's like realizing you're a player in a larger game and everyone else has something valuable to contribute.
Precisely. This leads to a few key aspects. First, it fosters a genuine desire to learn. If you believe you already know everything, why would you listen? But a humble person is always a student, open to new ideas, criticism, and different viewpoints. This receptiveness is crucial for growth.
And that's so important. If we're not learning, we're stagnating. Imagine a gardener who refuses to learn new techniques because they think their old methods are perfect. Their garden wouldn't thrive.
A perfect example. Another crucial element is that humility allows for deeper understanding of others. When we shed the weight of our ego, we can truly see and hear people. We move from me versus them to us. This fosters empathy and strengthens relationships. When you approach a conversation with humility, you're not trying to win, you're trying to understand.
So instead of thinking, what can I say to prove my point? You think, what can I learn from what they're saying?
Exactly. And this leads us to recognize our own fallibility. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has blind spots. Humility is understanding this about yourself and accepting it. It's not a weakness. It's a realistic acknowledgement of the human condition. This realization makes us more forgiving of others when they stumble.
It seems like a cycle, then. Humility makes you receptive to learning, which helps you understand others better, which makes you more forgiving and empathetic, which reinforces that sense of humility.
You've hit on a key point, Lisa. It's a virtuous cycle. Remember integrity from episode 2? Humility is its ally. True integrity means being honest not only with others, but with yourself. That self-honesty is a cornerstone of humility. It's about admitting your shortcomings, your mistakes, and your limitations, not as a failure, but as an opportunity to be better.
And the connection to courage again. It takes real courage to stand before yourself and say, I messed up. Instead of blaming others, you own it. That's inner strength.
It truly is. So, how do we cultivate this gift of perspective, this embracing of humility? It starts with intentional awareness. Ask yourself regularly, am I listening more than I'm talking? Am I open to different opinions? Do I assume I know best? These simple questions can reveal a lot.
So it's about self reflection, but looking for the less of me aspect rather than listing personal achievements.
That's right. Practice gratitude. When you're grateful for the good things and for the people who have helped you, it naturally shifts your focus away from self-centeredness. Acknowledge your interdependence. No one achieves anything significant entirely on their own. Recognizing the contributions of others is a powerful form of humility.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's not just about acknowledging what I can do, but about appreciating what we can do and how many people contributed to that.
Indeed, and be willing to be wrong. This can be challenging, but true growth comes when you can admit you were mistaken and learn from it without your ego taking a hit. Acknowledging that aha moment of correction rather than feeling defensive is a sign of humility.
And it's often in those moments of being wrong that we learn the most profound lessons. It's like a reset button for understanding.
It is. So to recap, humility isn't about thinking less of yourself, but about thinking about yourself less. It's about accurate self-assessment, recognizing strengths and weaknesses without arrogance or self-deprecation. It fosters a desire to learn, allows for deeper understanding of others, and helps us acknowledge our own fallibility. This virtue is closely linked to integrity and courage, creating a powerful synergy for character development.
And cultivating it involves active listening, regular self reflection, practicing gratitude, acknowledging our interdependence, and being willing to be wrong.
Precisely. By embracing humility, we open ourselves to a richer, more connected, and more effective way of living. It's a quiet strength that makes us more admirable, more teachable, and ultimately, more human.
Wonderful. So, we've covered integrity, courage, patience, kindness, and now humility. It's amazing to see how these virtues interlock and strengthen each other.
It's exactly what we'll explore further in our next episode. The weight of our choices, owning your responsibility.
Next episode, owning your responsibility.
Welcome back to the Character Builder. Last time, we explored the quiet strength of humility. Today, we're tackling owning our responsibility.
Owning our responsibility. It's about taking ownership, right? Not just of the good, but especially of the difficult parts.
Exactly. Responsibility means acknowledging we are the authors of our actions, our words, and the consequences that follow. It's understanding we have a duty to act and be accountable. Think of life as a journey. Responsibility means you're holding the map and steering the wheel.
That implies agency, doesn't it? The power to make choices and stand by them.
Precisely. And this isn't about being perfect. It's about recognizing that every decision, every word, even an action, has a ripple effect. Owning our responsibility means understanding we are connected to those ripples. It's the opposite of passing the buck or making excuses.
So, what does responsibility really encompass? Is it just about admitting mistakes?
It's much more than admitting fault. It's a proactive stance. It means taking ownership of, first, our actions, what we do, how we do it, and why. Second, our words, the promises we make and their impact. And third, the consequences, facing the results, positive and negative. Consider this: you promised to help a friend move. Owning your responsibility means not just showing up, but being prepared. If you're late or didn't bring what you said you would, the responsible thing is to acknowledge it, apologize, and perhaps make up for it.
That makes sense. It's about being reliable and dependable. It builds trust.
Absolutely. Trust is built on the foundation of responsibility. When people know you'll do what you say and own your part, they feel secure. They trust your character. Conversely, when someone consistently avoids responsibility, trust erodes quickly. It signals a lack of maturity and integrity.
What's the difference between responsibility and blame?
Blame is often a defensive reaction. It's about pointing fingers outward to deflect personal accountability. It's saying it wasn't my fault. Responsibility, on the other hand, is about looking inward. It's asking, what was my part in this? Imagine a team project where something goes wrong. The person avoiding responsibility might say, the deadline was unrealistic and my colleague was late. This is blame. The responsible person might say, okay, the deadline was tight and I received information late. I also could have communicated my needs more clearly earlier on and maybe managed my time better to account for potential delays. What can we learn from this?
So, responsibility acknowledges complexity, but still places control within oneself.
Exactly. It's recognizing the power you have over your own responses and actions, regardless of external circumstances. It's about being human, authentically and accountably. Think about the freedom that comes with owning your responsibility. When we avoid it, we carry a burden of guilt or anxiety. But when we step up and take ownership, we release that burden. We can learn and move forward with a clearer conscience and a stronger sense of self.
That's a powerful idea. The liberation from owning your choices. It sounds like it requires courage.
It does, and this connects to our discussion on courage. It takes courage to admit you're wrong, face consequences, and stand accountable. True strength lies in embracing your role and acting with integrity, even when it's uncomfortable. This concept of responsibility also strengthens perseverance. When you own your path, you're more likely to stick with it through challenges because you understand your commitment. You're not waiting for someone else to fix things, you're taking initiative.
And how does this relate to honesty?
They're inseparable. Absolute honesty, which we'll discuss later, is a prerequisite for true responsibility. You can't be responsible if you're not honest with yourself and others about your role. Blending honesty with responsibility builds trust. And when you combine responsibility with kindness, you create someone reliable and compassionate. So, let's recap. Owning our responsibility means acknowledging ourselves as the cause of our actions, words, and consequences. It's a proactive stance that builds trust and personal freedom. We've differentiated it from blame, highlighting how responsibility looks inward while blame looks outward. And we've seen how it intersects with courage, honesty, and perseverance, forming a vital part of a robust character.
It really sounds like the weight of our choices, when acknowledged, makes us lighter and stronger. It's not a burden, but empowerment.
Precisely. It's the ultimate expression of self-mastery. It's about understanding that while we may not always control what happens to us, we always control how we respond. And that control, that agency, is where our true strength lies. Next episode, we'll explore the unyielding spirit, focusing on how to strengthen perseverance when things get tough. Welcome back. Last time we covered owning your responsibility. Today, let's strengthen your perseverance.
Perseverance. It's that inner drive that keeps you moving forward when things get tough.
Exactly. And it's not just stubbornness. True perseverance is an unyielding commitment to a worthy goal, combined with the wisdom to adapt and learn.
So, determine smartly?
Precisely. Think of navigating a maze. You don't abandon it at a dead end. You reassess your path and keep moving.
How do we cultivate this wise, unyielding spirit?
Perseverance is deeply intertwined with previous virtues we've discussed. It requires courage to face challenges and integrity to believe in your goal's purpose.
Courage gives the initial push, and perseverance is what keeps you moving. And integrity anchors your determination, reminding you why the goal is important.
And responsibility, which we discussed, means you commit to seeing goals through. You look for solutions to overcome obstacles rather than making excuses.
It's being accountable for your steps along the way.
In practice, perseverance involves a cycle of effort, encountering setbacks, learning from those setbacks, and then renewed effort. The key is to acknowledge obstacles without letting them paralyze you.
You see the challenge clearly, you don't try to ignore it.
Then, you actively learn why you hit that particular obstacle. You analyze the situation to be better equipped for the next attempt. This is the adaptive, learning part of perseverance.
So, it's like gathering intelligence before making your next move.
This learning process then fuels renewed effort. You adjust your strategy based on what you learned and try again. This effort, setback, learning cycle is the core engine of perseverance.
And celebrating small wins along the way builds momentum, right?
A fantastic point. Recognizing and celebrating progress reinforces your belief that you can overcome challenges. It keeps your determination burning bright and helps you stay motivated.
It creates a positive feedback loop. Each small success boosts your confidence, making the bigger goal feel more attainable.
Exactly. Perseverance isn't about blindly clinging to a goal that's no longer serving you. It's about discernment, knowing when to pivot or adjust your approach versus when to push through with sustained effort.
So it's not just brute force, but intelligent, persistent effort.
Indeed, the benefits of cultivating perseverance are immense. It builds incredible resilience within you, making you more adaptable to change and more confident in your ability to handle whatever comes your way.
Challenges start to feel less like insurmountable roadblocks and more like opportunities for growth.
Perseverance cultivates a mindset where obstacles are transformed into stepping stones. It transforms potential failures into valuable lessons that pave the way to success. It's truly the unyielding spirit that moves us forward on our path.
So, to recap, true perseverance is a wise, unyielding commitment to a worthy goal. It's fueled by courage, integrity, and responsibility. It involves a dynamic cycle of effort, learning from setbacks, adjusting our approach, and celebrating those crucial small wins. This process builds resilience and fundamentally changes how we view and overcome challenges, turning them into stepping stones for growth.
Perseverance is absolutely essential for achieving anything truly meaningful. It's that quiet, consistent strength that brings our visions and aspirations to reality.
And the best part is, it's a virtue that can be actively cultivated and strengthened over time.
Absolutely. Next episode, we'll explore another cornerstone of admirable character, the cornerstone of trust, and how to build it through absolute honesty.
That sounds vital. I'm looking forward to it.
Join us then for episode 9 of The Character Builder. Welcome back. Last time we talked about perseverance. Now let's talk about absolute honesty.
Absolute honesty. That sounds intense. It's easy to say we value it, but living it out is tough.
It is. We've discussed honesty, but today we're focusing on its absolute application. It's the mortar holding all admirable character together. Without it, the structure can crumble.
So it's more than just not lying. It's a deeper commitment.
Exactly. Absolute honesty means truthfulness in our words, actions, and intentions. It's complete transparency to others and ourselves. It means no deception, no misleading omissions, and no self-deceptive justifications.
That self-deception part is tricky. We tell ourselves stories to justify things, don't we?
We do. That's where the absolute nature comes in. It requires constant vigilance. When we commit to absolute honesty, we commit to facing reality, even when uncomfortable. We admit mistakes, give accurate information, and act in line with the truth.
And what's the big impact of this absolute honesty? You mentioned relationships, reputation, and self-perception.
Let's start with relationships. Trust is vital for any connection. When you're consistently honest, you build profound trust. People know where they stand. They can rely on your word. This doesn't mean being harsh, but your core message will be truthful. This creates secure bonds. Imagine a friendship where you always get honest feedback. That's a strong foundation.
That makes sense. It's like building on solid ground. And what about reputation?
Your reputation is what others perceive. Absolute honesty shapes that perception into one of reliability and integrity. People know you as dependable. This builds goodwill and respect. A reputation for honesty is an incredibly valuable asset.
So, it's about actively building a positive perception, not just avoiding punishment.
Precisely. And then there's self-perception. When you live by absolute honesty, you develop self-respect. You know you're living by your values. You don't carry the burden of deceit. This internal harmony is liberating. You can feel good about yourself.
It sounds like a weight lifted. But what about difficult situations? When honesty might seem to cause more harm.
This is where absolute is most challenging and important. We hesitate because we fear consequences, hurting feelings, criticism, or loss. But lying offers short-term relief, leading to greater future damage.
So, navigating those situations needs skills alongside the honesty commitment.
Absolutely. It requires discernment, compassion, and courage. It's about delivering truth with kindness. If a friend asks your opinion on something you dislike, absolute honesty isn't blunt criticism. It might be, while I see your effort, it's not my personal style, or focusing on constructive improvements. The intent is truthful but mindful of feelings.
That distinction is vital. It's about the intent behind honesty, not just the raw delivery.
Exactly. It's about the courage to be vulnerable. Admitting you don't know, admitting mistakes, admitting true feelings. These acts of vulnerability are built on absolute honesty. They show confidence, not a fabricated facade.
It's about valuing truth over temporary comfort.
Precisely. This commitment to absolute honesty builds lasting trust. When your word is reliably consistent, when your actions match your intentions, people trust you implicitly. They know your yes means yes. They know you won't mislead them. This is the bedrock of strong relationships.
So, to recap, absolute honesty means truthfulness in words, actions, and intentions. It builds trust in relationships, shapes a reputation for reliability, and boosts self perception through self respect. Even in tough times, honesty with compassion is the path to stronger connections and an integrated self.
Well said, Lisa. It's a challenging virtue, but it provides an unwavering foundation for all other admirable qualities. It's the cornerstone of trust.
A cornerstone we want to build strong.
Indeed. And next time, we'll explore how all these virtues work together in a beautiful, interconnected way.
Sounds like we're building a complete character ecosystem. I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. Join us next time for episode 10, The Character Ecosystem, Virtues in Harmony. Welcome back, everyone, to The Character Builder. We're on episode 10, and we're diving into a really fascinating concept, the character ecosystem.
It's hard to believe we're so far into the series. So, Alex, what exactly is this character ecosystem you're talking about?
Think of it like a natural environment. Lisa, in nature, you have different elements, plants, animals, water, soil, and they all interact. They rely on each other to thrive. If one part is out of balance, it affects everything else. Our virtues work in a very similar way.
I see. So, it's not just about having a single virtue like honesty, but how all the virtues we've discussed so far integrity, courage, patience, kindness, humility, responsibility, perseverance, and honesty connect and support each other?
Precisely. We've spent a lot of time breaking down each virtue individually, learning what it means and how to cultivate it. But the real power of admirable character comes when these virtues are working together in harmony. They create a strong foundation, a resilient inner structure.
What are some examples of how they work together?
Let's take honesty, which we covered in the last episode. Now, honesty on its own can sometimes be blunt, right? You might say something that's true, but it could be hurtful. That's where kindness comes in.
So, if you need to give constructive feedback, honesty tells you what to say and kindness guides how to say it.
Exactly. And think about courage. We talked about facing your fears. But what if you're courageous, you charge ahead, but you haven't really thought things through? You might be acting rashly. That's where personal responsibility and integrity help.
You mean, before you act courageously, you're responsible for understanding the potential outcomes and acting with integrity, making sure your courageous actions align with your values?
You got it. And what about perseverance? We know it's about sticking with something even when it's tough. But imagine persevering in something that's actually wrong or harmful. That's where integrity would tell you to stop.
So, perseverance is powerful, but it needs to be guided by integrity, ensuring you're sticking with the right things. And I imagine patience plays a role too, right? Sometimes perseverance takes a long time.
Absolutely. Patience allows you to endure the long haul that perseverance requires. Without patience, a long-term goal that demands perseverance can feel overwhelming, and you might give up too soon. They're natural partners.
It really paints a picture of how interconnected these traits are. It's not like checking boxes on a list.
It's much more dynamic than that. And another crucial aspect of this ecosystem is humility. Humility allows us to be open to learning from others, to admit when we're wrong, and to adjust our course. even when we're being courageous or persevering. Without humility, our courage could become arrogance, and our perseverance could become stubbornness.
That makes so much sense. I think we often see people who are very strong in one area, but it almost becomes a weakness when it's not balanced by others. For example, someone might be incredibly driven and perseverant, but if they lack kindness, they can be ruthless.
That's a perfect example. Ruthlessness is often born from unchecked perseverance or ambition, without the tempering influence of kindness and empathy. Similarly, someone might be very honest, but if they lack tact or kindness, their honesty can damage relationships.
So, a truly admirable person isn't just honest or just courageous, but a blend of these virtues, all working together.
Exactly. And this is where focusing on individual virtues in isolation can fall short. You might dedicate yourself to being more courageous, but if you haven't also nurtured your integrity, that courage might lead you astray. Or you might strive for perseverance, but without patience, you'll burn out quickly.
It sounds like it's about creating a holistic approach to character development.
Precisely. Think of it like building a complex machine. You can have a powerful engine, but if the steering is misaligned or the brakes aren't working, the machine isn't functional or safe. Each part needs to be well made and integrated correctly. Our virtues are the parts, and their harmony is the integration.
Are there common pitfalls when people try to develop their character?
One major pitfall is focusing too much on external appearance rather than internal substance. Someone might act courageous by taking risks, but they're not actually being courageous if their underlying motive is to impress others and they're terrified internally. That's where integrity and responsibility are key, ensuring our actions match our inner values and intentions.
So, the outward display of a virtue isn't enough. It needs to be deeply rooted.
Right. And another pitfall is imbalance. As we've discussed, too much of one thing can become a negative if it's not balanced. For instance, excessive self-sacrifice without self-care can lead to burnout. That's where responsibility for oneself and a touch of healthy self-awareness, often nurtured by humility, comes into play.
It's like a constant dance. You have to be aware of how all the pieces are fitting together.
It is. And this understanding of the character ecosystem is incredibly liberating. It means you don't have to feel overwhelmed by trying to perfect every single virtue at once. Instead, you can focus on how the virtues you're working on can support each other.
So, if I'm working on perseverance, I should also be mindful of how patience can help me stick with it and how my integrity will ensure I'm persevering for the right reasons.
Yes. And if you're working on honesty, consider how kindness can soften the delivery, and humility can help you accept feedback if your honesty is perceived negatively. It's about building strength upon strength.
It makes the whole process feel more manageable and more effective.
It truly does. This interwoven nature of virtues means that strengthening one often naturally strengthens others. For example, when you act with integrity consistently, it builds your sense of responsibility for your actions, and that can boost your confidence to be courageous.
And practicing honesty regularly helps build trust, which is essential for strong relationships where kindness and empathy can truly flourish.
It's a beautiful cycle. The more you practice these virtues in harmony, the more robust and admirable your character becomes. It's not a static portrait, but a living, breathing, thriving ecosystem within you. And this ecosystem is what ultimately shapes how we interact with the world and how others perceive us. It's the difference between a collection of good deeds and a life lived with genuine, deep-seated character.
This concept of the character ecosystem is such a powerful way to think about it all, Alex. It ties everything we've discussed together so well.
I'm so glad you feel that way, Lisa. It's the foundation for how we move forward, how we build upon these individual virtues.
So, to recap for our listeners, the character ecosystem highlights how virtues like integrity, courage, patience, kindness, humility, responsibility, perseverance, and honesty don't exist in isolation. They support, balance, and amplify each other, creating a strong, resilient, and admirable character. Focusing on this interconnectedness makes character development more effective and sustainable than tackling each virtue separately.
Exactly. And this leads us perfectly into our next episode, where we'll talk about how to actively forge this character through daily practice and habit formation.
That sounds like a fantastic and practical next step.
It will be. Join us next time for episode 11, The Daily Forge, Intentional Practice and Habit Formation. Welcome back to the Character Builder. Now, let's talk about truly living our virtues.
That's right, Alex. We've built the foundation, understood the blueprints, and now we need to get our hands dirty with the actual construction. It's one thing to know what integrity is, but it's another thing entirely to be a person of integrity day in and day out. This episode is all about that practical how-to for character development.
Exactly. And the core of this how-to lies in intentional practice and habit formation. Think about learning any skill, whether it's playing a musical instrument or a sport. You don't just wake up one day a master. It takes consistent, deliberate practice. Character development is no different. We need to actively choose to practice our virtues.
So, it's not something that just happens to us. We have to be proactive. How do we start being more intentional?
A great starting point is mindfulness. Mindfulness, at its core, is about paying attention to the present moment without judgment. When we're mindful, we become more aware of our thoughts, feelings, and actions. This awareness is crucial for character building because it allows us to catch ourselves before we act out of habit or impulse, and instead make a conscious choice aligned with our desired virtues.
I see. So, if I'm feeling impatient, mindfulness helps me recognize that feeling as it's happening, giving me a chance to choose a patient response rather than just reacting.
Precisely. It's like having a little pause button. And with that pause, you can ask yourself, what would a courageous person do here? What would an honest person say? You're actively stepping into the role of the person you aspire to be. This conscious effort, repeated over time, starts to shape your behavior.
That makes sense. So, mindfulness is about awareness, and then we use that awareness to make intentional choices. What's the next step in solidifying those choices?
Habit formation. Our lives are largely a collection of habits. Some are helpful, some aren't. The key to building character is to deliberately create habits that support our virtues. A habit is simply an action we perform regularly, often without much conscious thought. We want our virtuous actions to become those automatic, good habits.
How do we create these good habits? It often feels like a struggle.
It can be, but there are proven strategies. One is to start small. Don't try to overhaul your entire life overnight. If you want to cultivate kindness, start with one small act of kindness each day. Hold a door for someone, offer a genuine compliment, or send a supportive message. These small actions are manageable and create a sense of accomplishment.
The start small advice. I've heard that before, but it's so easy to want to do everything at once and then get overwhelmed. Focusing on one small, consistent action seems much more achievable.
Absolutely. Another strategy is habit stacking. This is where you link a new habit you want to form with an existing habit. For example, if you want to practice gratitude, you could say, after I brush my teeth in the morning, I will think of 3 things I'm grateful for. Brushing your teeth is already a habit, so you're stacking the new gratitude practice onto it.
That's a clever way to integrate new behaviors. It uses an established routine as a trigger. So, we're using mindfulness to become aware, and then habit stacking and starting small to make virtuous actions more regular. Are there other tools for this daily forging?
Self-reflection is absolutely critical. Regularly taking time to look back on your day or week can reveal patterns in your behavior and where you succeeded or fell short. This isn't about self-criticism. It's about honest assessment. Ask yourself, did I act with integrity today? Where did I have an opportunity to show courage, and did I take it? Was I patient when faced with frustration?
So, it's like a check-in, reviewing our actions to see how we're measuring up to the virtues we want to embody.
Exactly. And this reflection should inform your intentional practice for the next day or week. If you realize you reacted impulsively with anger, your intentional practice might be to focus on anger management techniques or to consciously practice patience in a specific situation you know will likely trigger you. This creates a cycle of awareness, practice, and improvement.
This sounds like a continuous process. We become aware, we choose intentionally, we practice, we reflect, and then we adjust our practice. It's like tending a garden.
That's a wonderful analogy. The garden of your character needs constant tending. And just like a gardener might use different tools for different tasks, we have different methods for this intentional practice. One powerful tool is visualization. Before a challenging situation, spend a few minutes visualizing yourself handling it with the virtue you want to express.
You mean picturing yourself being brave when you have to give a presentation, or picturing yourself being honest even when it's difficult?
Yes, imagine the smooth flow of your words, the calm demeanor, the positive outcome that comes from acting virtuously in that scenario. This mental rehearsal primes your mind and your emotions, making it more likely you'll act that way when a moment arrives. It's not magic. Your brain starts to create pathways that make the virtuous response feel more familiar and accessible.
So, we're practically rehearsing for life, but with our character as the rehearsal stage. What about when we make mistakes? Because we will, right?
Absolutely, we will. And that's where self-compassion becomes important alongside self-reflection. When you miss the mark, acknowledge it without harsh self-judgment. Understand why it happened, learn from it, and recommit to your practice. Self-compassion allows you to bounce back rather than becoming discouraged and giving up. It fuels perseverance, which we've discussed is a key virtue itself.
That's a great point. So, failure isn't the opposite of success. It's a stepping stone if we learn from it. It's about commitment and resilience.
Precisely. Building admirable character is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about the consistent, intentional effort to be a better version of yourself each day. This daily forge, this active process of practicing our virtues, is what truly transforms our character from something we think about to something we are.
I think it's so important to emphasize that this takes time. It's not a quick fix. By consistently applying mindfulness, habit stacking, starting small, self-reflection, and self-compassion, we're actively shaping our inner landscape and our outward behavior.
Exactly. It's about weaving these virtues into the fabric of our lives through deliberate action. Remember, the character we admire in others wasn't built overnight. It was forged in the daily grind, in the countless small choices to act with integrity, courage, kindness, and all the other virtues we've explored.
So, to recap this episode, we've learned that character building is an active, intentional process. We can use mindfulness to become aware of our impulses and make conscious choices. We can create good habits by starting small and using techniques like habit stacking. Regular self-reflection helps us assess our progress, and self-compassion helps us learn from our mistakes and keep going. It's all about the daily forge, the consistent, deliberate practice of our virtues.
Well said, Lisa. And this active daily practice leads us directly into our final episode, where we'll look at the lasting impact of this commitment, the admirable legacy we can leave behind by living a virtuous life. Join us next time for the conclusion of the character builder. Welcome back to the This is our 12th and final episode.
It truly has been a comprehensive exploration, Alex. From understanding what character even is in our very first episode to the practicalities of habit formation, we've dissected what makes a person admirable. And now, in this grand finale, we're looking at the culmination of all this, the admirable legacy we leave behind by living a truly virtuous life.
Exactly, Lisa. It's about the ripple effect. When we invest in our own character, we're not just improving ourselves, we're contributing to a better world around us. Think about it. A person known for their integrity inspires trust in all their dealings. Someone who consistently shows courage, even when afraid, gives others permission to be brave too.
And that's a powerful thought. It shifts the focus from solely internal development to the external impact. So, when we talk about the admirable legacy, what does that encompass? Is it about grand achievements or something more nuanced?
It's absolutely more nuanced and far more profound than just achievements. A legacy built on virtue is about the consistent way you show up in the world day after day. It's the quiet acts of kindness that go unnoticed by many but are deeply felt by those who receive them. It's the unwavering honesty in business, even when a lie might be easier or more profitable. It's the patience you offer to someone struggling that makes them feel seen and understood.
So, it's woven into the fabric of our everyday interactions. It's not about a single, monumental act, but the accumulation of countless small, virtuous actions.
Precisely. Imagine a gardener tending to their plants. They don't just plant a seed and expect a magnificent garden. They water, they weed, they prune, they nurture over time. Our character is much the same. The legacy we build is the beautiful, flourishing garden that blossoms from consistent, intentional care. Each virtuous act is like a drop of water or a bit of sunlight for our character.
That's a wonderful analogy. And building on that, how does living a virtuous life then actively shape the world around us?
Well, consider integrity. When you are a person of integrity, people naturally want to work with you, to be around you. They trust your word. This creates stronger relationships, healthier businesses, and more cohesive communities. When we consistently choose responsibility for our actions, we foster an environment where accountability is valued, not feared. This reduces conflict and builds a foundation of mutual respect.
So, by embodying these virtues, we become positive influences. We're not just living well, we're helping others live better too.
Absolutely. And perseverance plays a huge role here. When people see you working through challenges with a strong spirit, it can inspire them to do the same in their own lives. Your resilience becomes a beacon. And kindness? Kindness is infectious. A simple act of kindness can, and often does, create a chain reaction of goodwill. It's like dropping a pebble in a pond. The ripples spread far beyond the initial point of impact.
It's almost like we're building a positive momentum through our own virtuous living. The more we practice these qualities, the more they become our natural state, and the more they radiate outwards.
That's a key point, Lisa. It becomes your natural state. It's not a performance anymore. It's who you are. And that authenticity is what truly leaves a lasting, admirable legacy. It's the reputation that precedes you, not for grand pronouncements, but for consistent character. It's the feeling people have when they interact with you, a feeling of comfort, trust, and respect.
And this journey of living a virtuous life, it's not a destination, right? It's a continuous process.
Never a destination. It's a lifelong commitment. Remember our episode on intentional practice and habit formation? That's the engine that keeps this legacy building going. It's about waking up each day and choosing to be the person you aspire to be, not just once, but repeatedly. It's about recognizing that even on days when we fall short, and we all do, the important thing is to acknowledge it, learn from it, and recommit to our path.
So, the legacy isn't just what we achieve or build, but how we live and how we respond when things don't go as planned. It's the ongoing story of our character.
Exactly. It's the impact on individual lives, the strength of our relationships, the integrity of our contributions, and the overall atmosphere of positivity and trust we help create. A truly admirable legacy is one where your life's work, in its broadest sense, has uplifted humanity in some way, no matter how small the scale. It's about leaving the world and the people in it a little bit better than you found them.
And that, Alex, feels like a beautiful way to conclude this series. We've covered so much ground, from the fundamental building blocks of character to the enduring impact of a life lived virtuously. We've discussed integrity, courage, patience, kindness, humility, responsibility, perseverance, honesty, and how they all function together. We also emphasize the importance of consistent, daily practice to strengthen these virtues. As we wrap up, what final encouragement would you offer our listeners as they continue this journey?
My encouragement is simple. Be patient with yourselves, be persistent in your efforts, and celebrate every small victory. Character building is a marathon, not a sprint. Embrace the continuous growth, find joy in the practice, and know that the legacy you are building, one virtuous choice at a time, is the most valuable one you can possibly create. Thank you for joining us on this journey.
Thank you, Alex. And thank you to our listeners for being part of the Character Builder series. We hope this has empowered you to live a more admirable life.
Thanks for listening to the series.